All right, so today I'm gonna be tying a fly called the Superior X legs. This is a pattern that was developed for fishing for lake run steelhead and brown trout on the Lake Superior tributaries of Minnesota and Wisconsin. This pattern is meant to imitate a stonefly, so it's supposed to be pretty large. I'm tying this on a size 4 or a size 6 hook, and you can go smaller than that. You can even go larger as well. To start here, I just got my thread and put a base down on it. I'm going to use Marabou for the tail. That's what this pattern calls for. It gives it a ton of movement as it's just slowly drifting through some of those big plunge pools on these tributaries. Went ahead and tied that in. I'm going to wrap it all the way up towards the front so that I make a really nice even body taper. Whenever possible, I really like to just make sure that I'm wrapping my material forward kind of as neat and even as possible. If the underbody of my fly is neat and even, I found that then the rest of my fly looks a lot better. It's easier to make sure my taper is correct as well. And I went a little bit past where I thought the thorax was going to start, the wing case is going to start. Tying in some copper wire along the side here, and then we can go ahead and dub this. Again, I am doing kind of a tan variation here. You can tie this in black or dark brown as well. I'm doing kind of the same color pattern as a hare's ear. So this is tan sow scud dubbing that I'm using on the side. You can keep this pretty thick, pretty buggy. You don't have to wrap it all too fine in there. You want this to have, a lot of material kind of sticking out, making it look plenty buggy here. I'm going to wrap that forward and just make sure I am doing kind of a nice even taper as I'm wrapping forward. I'm going to go up to about the 50% mark on this fly, and that's kind of modeled after stonefly nymphs. Stonefly nymphs, typically their thorax or their wing case starts about 50%, maybe not even further back on the fly than that, but huge wing cases on these bugs, so you don't have to worry about too much abdomen on it. Went ahead, wrap that copper wire forward. Again, you can do a different color wire as well if you're going for a different color pattern on this. Helicopter that off, and I'm going to go ahead and tie in turkey quill for the wing case on this. It's a material I like to use very commonly for wing cases, as it kind of sticks to itself. It just gives it a really nice kind of big wide wing case as a natural material. Wrap that forward, and then I can go ahead and tie in the signature feature to this fly, which is the rubber legs. I like to use flat rubber legs for this versus round rubber legs. The reason being is that the flat rubber legs hold in place really well. You can control them a lot and kind of place them exactly where you want them. So I'll do one loose wrap just to get them in, and then you'll see me, I'm kind of playing with these, putting them exactly where I want them to be, making sure they're not rolling underneath the fly there, and then I'll tie them in with a couple tighter wraps. I can go ahead from that point and just wrap back towards where that wing case starts, and I will add more dubbing. This is going to be for the thorax, so I can go very thick on this. I'm going to kind of wrap it tight in a tighter noodle like I did the abdomen. See, not super tight, but not super loose either. And then later on, I can pick this out to make it as buggy as I want it to be. So go ahead, get my noodle dubbed here, and then I'm going to wrap that forward, just being careful not to trap those legs as I do wrap forward, and make sure that I have plenty of this on the hook here. So with these legs, you don't have to be too worried about exactly how they're riding for the time being, because as we wrap forward, we're going to have the ability to control that with this dubbing. If they're sticking too far forward or too far backwards, you can add some more dubbing in front of or behind them just to get them to sit exactly the way you want. Adding a little bit more dubbing on here just to fill out the rest of the body of this fly. And you'll notice I did not add any flash to this fly. Some folks do add flash to it, and you certainly can do that if you want. My theory on it is, for fishing for something like steelhead, I am always going to have an egg fly behind it. The egg is, it's probably the most essential fly for fishing for Great Lakes steelhead, probably steelhead anywhere. So I'm already gonna have a fly on there that has, it's very visible. It has, the ability to attract fish to it. They're gonna see that fly and then come over, and I want them to have something that is a little more natural to present to them instead of two flies that are kind of gaudy. So I'm whip finishing at this point. I wrapped that wing case forward, just cover up any of those loose ends that are on there and clip this off. My fly is pretty much done. The last step that I'm going to do on this is I'm going to go ahead and just pick out that dubbing like I mentioned before, make sure that it does look really buggy in that thorax, and then I can add a UV wing case to this as well. I like to use the thick UV epoxy for this, as I personally find that using that thick UV, as you're about to see in 1 second here, just really helps give a nice kind of shine and bubble that catches a lot of light. So it's not as gaudy as doing something like uh, a flashback on this, but it does grab some light and reflect it. So got that all picked out. Now I can go ahead and add this wing case. It'll add some durability as well. And then after I do get this added on there, I'm going to UV this. This is UV epoxy. This is the thick UV epoxy from Loon. And I like to use the thick because it gives me that nice bubble profile. The thin kind of runs a little bit more. So I find the thick is kind of what I'm looking for in it. When you do go to cure, if you're doing a big UV bubble, especially on a big fly like this, make sure you hit it for a while. I'm just going to hit it quick here, but I'll even take these outside and put them under the sun to just make sure they're really hardened all the way before I go and fish these. That's pretty much it, guys. That is the Superior X Legs. This is a great fly, like I mentioned, for fishing for steelhead or Great Lakes trout anywhere, but also just works everywhere for trout, for a variety of other species as well. So hopefully this video was helpful. Comment below and let me know what you want me to tie next. And if you do fish this fly, comment below and let me know you caught on it.